Isaiah 29:15. Woe unto them that seek deep to hide their counsel from the Lord, and their works are in the dark. And they say, Who seeth us, and who knoweth us? And that word Lord is in all caps, so that's YHWH, which is Yahweh, the true name of the Heavenly Father, not God or Jehovah. Call halal Yahweh by Hashem Hawashai, by Hashem Rakak Wadash. Double honors unto the apostles, double honors until the elder bishops. Salutations to all my fellow laborers doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so now more so than ever. To the scattered elect that are scattered around the four corners of the earth, that be like unto the speckled bird, the Israelite foreigners. And to the Akwath that are listening and learning, to you I say Shalom. This is your brother Malcolm from the branch of the Great Millstone here in Chicago. And today I'm doing a commentary on a video that was done by Really Graceful. She has great content. I've been watching her for quite a few years now. I've done quite a few responses to some of her videos. And she's actually one of these Americans who, I believe she's American. I don't think she's Canadian, who gets it. And not the spiritual part, but well, maybe she does, because I wouldn't be shocked. I've actually communicated back and forth with her on a few occasions, just chatting on her videos, not direct connection. And I imagine she's probably seen some of the videos that I've done featuring her. So I'm pretty sure she's kind of, she's in tune with the Israelite thing. I don't know if she agrees with it or not, but she definitely knows about it. The whole world does. So what we're going to do is give a biblical perspective on this particular video, which is extremely good. And so I'm going to talk about gradualism. Elder Barra, the Chicago camp, did a video about a year and a half ago, and went into gradualism and broke it down really well. And it was a great video. And that is how Esau Edom moves and maneuvers with gradualism. And they introduce something slowly. They stop. They check to see the reaction, and then they adjust accordingly from that. And that's exactly what you're seeing being done with this food thing that's going on. All right. So without any further ado, I'm going to play quite a few minutes of a video, and then I'll give some scripture and commentary along the way. So here we go.
Friends, here on this channel we've been Hey internet friends, here on this channel we've been cataloging the strange happenings of our world for some time now. Within the span of the past year, one of the world's largest ships jammed up the Suez Canal for nearly a week. The Suez Canal being one of the world's most important trading routes. The price of fertilizers for crops have hit an all-time high. Bill Gates became the largest farmland owner in the United States. World leaders announced impending food shortages due to the war in Ukraine, with Russia and Ukraine making up more than 30% of the global wheat market, and they're considered the breadbasket of Europe. Followed by reports of the bird flu in the United States over the past month, forcing farmers to kill millions of egg-laying poultry. All of these aforementioned incidents have driven up the price of items at your grocery store. But now we shift our focus to the most recent series of strange events contributing to this price hike and potential shortage. Wondering, is it all a coincidence or something more? In some ways, it's like the ship getting stuck in the Suez was just the start, just the beginning of all these recent supply chain issues. And really, it's only escalated from there. In the last 6 months, around 20 U.S. food processing facilities have burned down. I'm going to lay them out on a timeline for you so we can look at the data and decide for ourselves if something is going on here, or if there's really nothing to see, we can just move along. January 12th, 2021, Fayetteville, Illinois. The Deli Store Corporation, a processor of deli meat for military and commercial use, was destroyed by fire. No details on how the fire started. April 11, 2021. A cooker at the plant caught the whole Tyson poultry plant on fire. It went up in flames. July 26, 2021. Memphis, Tennessee. A 3-alarm fire breaks out at the Kellogg's cereal plant. Reports say fire started in the rice dryer. August 2nd, 2021. Huntsville, Alabama. Fire damages Tyson-owned feed ingredients plant. The poultry mill plant received significant damage in a fire that was said to be sparked by animal byproducts and grease. August 24th, 2021. Patax Meat Products in Cobb County, Georgia. A fire broke out at the factory, causing severe damage. I've actually been to the retail store many years ago. It's a community staple, but it was a total loss. September 13th, 2021, Grand Island, Nebraska. The headline reads, 5-alarm fire at JBS beef plant. The Grand Island Fire Department reported that the roof was on fire around 10 p.m. that night. October 20th, 2021, Tar Heel, North Carolina. A fire at the Smithfield Foods plant, allegedly started by an employee named Latasha Biddle, who set fire to the break area. Well, she came back in 2 days later with a hammer and vandalized cars, screaming about how she was going to burn down the plant and shoot the place up before fleeing. She eventually turned herself in on an unrelated charge. November 29th, 2021, Scotts Township, Pennsylvania. The headline reads, Fire erupts at a meat processing facility in Lackawanna County. No further details. December 13th, 2021, San Antonio, Texas. $100,000 of fire damage occurred to a food processing plant where a cooler had caught fire. So now we're getting into 2022, January 14th, LeCompte, Louisiana. A fire started at the Cargill Nutrina feed mill in Louisiana and burned for 12 hours. Reports of explosions seen and heard. January 31st, Winston-Salem, North Carolina. A fire tore through a fertilizer plant on the night of January 31st and continued into the next day, forcing thousands living near the plant to evacuate their homes and a university to cancel classes. Every household within a 1-mile radius was asked to evacuate because of the high chance of explosion. More than 6,500 residents were in the evacuation radius. All right, now here is where it gets interesting. If you look at the data starting in February 2022, you're going to start to notice a trend of these fires occurring more and more frequently.
So let's pause it right there, more and more frequently, and that's what they do. Because meanwhile, while all this was, well, let me read Daniel first. This is Daniel 8:25, and it reads, and through his policy, he shall also cause craft to prosper. You know, and you go into that craft is basically deceit, right? He shall cause craft to prosper in his hand. He shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand. So eventually he's going to be destroyed by the Lord and broken without any power. But in the meantime, until that comes, he's going to deceive and fool a lot of people and come with peaceful measures. But within these peaceful measures, he's causing and wreaking havoc upon people, right? And here it's upon the food sources, right? With gradualism, because it just kept happening. And meanwhile, while all this was going on, the main distraction from it was the whole C problem, the C19er problem. Okay, that was raging in the headlines, and all these other things, these fires in this food was the men of the Lord weren't ignoring it, but the mainstream media and the collective sheeple of America and the Western civilizationers were ignoring it. All right, and all this and these places begin to burn down right after Event 201. See, Event 201 happened. And the Event 201 was the whole thing where these different nations and businesses, companies got together to simulate how they would handle a problem if there was a worldwide pandemic or something like that, and what they would do. It was called Event 201, and it was headed up by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. All right, that's fact. You can look it up. All right, that's not mis or disinformation. All right, that's fact. So this event took place in, I believe it happened in October of 2019, and then after that, everything you just saw began to happen, including a couple short months later, January, we had the problem with the demic. All right, that hit, and while that was going on, every other month, another food thing, processing plant. First you had the Suez Canal block, and then you had all these plants that began to burn down and be destroyed. All right, which was total gradualism. All right, and then all of a sudden you had it being announced on the mainstream media by the president and that how we're going imminent food shortages and things of that nature was going to lead to riots and insurrection and chaos. All of a sudden, that was being talked about. Okay, and the whole time, you were being distracted as these things were going on. This is not the first time that this is done. It's kind of like when you look at how the trees right now and how they're all is spring and half the trees in America are dead all across America. All right, I was reading the comments on the video that I did, a short PSA public service announcement on the trees, and people were checking in from the different cities and states around the nation, and they're all saying the same thing. The trees are half blooming or not blooming at all, and then a lot of them that are blooming, they're blooming that yellowish color that they or weird colors that they turn when the tree's about to die. So we have a serious issue. And you have to remember the trees are directly connected to your respiratory system. All right? You have to have vibrant trees with leaves to have healthy respiratory systems. And it's just, yet another thing that's being ignored, all the constant spraying of the products. And that's what they do, that they spray into the skies. And then they used to do that under the secret of night. Then they began to do it in the daytime. And it happens so much that people don't even question it anymore. Meanwhile, down here on the ground, your vegetation is suffering and dying as a result of it. And you have all these respiratory issues. And then, of course, from learning from Dr. Bataro with this whole situation of the demic, highly credited doctor who all of a sudden was labeled a kook after he came against the mainstream narrative. All right, he pointed out that when your respiratory system is under duress, you're more likely to get sick and experience all sorts of health declines. All right, it's respiratory. You dealing with your heart, with your health, and your stress levels, high blood pressure, all sorts of things when your respiratory system is compromised. And we all witnessed that, and those happen to be the same, results that were coming from the illness that was going on during the demic. But let us continue with what she was saying. Then she said that after the 2-year period, all of a sudden they started burning down, because I believe in the last 2 weeks in the last 3 weeks, it's been over 18 places destroyed. So let's let her continue now. And so that's just it. He is getting very sloppy. Gradualism is not so gradual anymore because he know if he have but a short time, we're going to grab that.
Which is why I wanted to lay all this out on a timeline anyway. On February 3rd, Mouston, Wisconsin. Wisconsin River Meats warehouse was engulfed in fire, the old portion of the building a total loss. No details on how the fire was started. February 16th, Claypool, Indiana. The LDC said that a fire had broken out at the largest U.S. soybean processing and biodiesel plant. The cause of the fire was cited as undetermined. February 22nd, Hermiston, Oregon. A major explosion at a potato chip factory in northwest Oregon resulted in 6 injuries, and they reported that it could hurt the supply of chips to the west coast. Local news reports that a portable natural gas boiler exploded, causing a dramatic fire. And local firefighters said that it was the largest blaze in that area that they'd seen in a decade. March 17th, Jonesboro, Arkansas. A Hot Pockets and frozen food Nestle plant was shut down after a fire broke out in the afternoon. Firemen battled it all night, but eventually abandoned the fight because of structural concern. March 18th, Plainfield, Indiana. I wanted to include this in here too. I've included fertilizer factory stories as well, because it all seems related. So this was a major fire at a Walmart distribution center, and inside were a variety of items, food, clothing, electronics, This was such a tremendous fire that burned for days, and no one knows what caused it. 200 firefighters worked together to put it out, and these were firefighters from 30 surrounding agencies that responded to this fire. March 24th, Belfast, Maine. It took firefighters from 10 surrounding communities to control the blaze that took over the McCrum potato processing plant. April 13th, Conway, New Hampshire. Firefighters battled a fire at East Conway Beef and Pork for 16 hours, managed to rescue the cattle even though the meat market was destroyed. April 19th, this is another one in Oregon at the headquarters of Azure Standard. the nation's premier independent distributor of organic and healthy food. It was destroyed by fire overnight. There were no injuries. The cause of the fire is unknown. April 20th, Leoti, Kansas. The Nutrient Agricultural Solutions fertilizer plant caught fire. No further details. April 21st, Covington, Georgia. A plane crashed near the General Mills plant, which, makes cereal. It's a global food company. There were no survivors of this plane crash. Not a lot of details are known about what happened. So that concludes the timeline. I'm always interested to hear your thoughts on this. I do have some lingering questions here, which led me to running a couple of searches to compare the number of plant fires, food plant fires, year to year, to see if this past year had an unusual amount or not. Are we focusing on this just because people are tweeting it? Are we focused? It was on Tucker Carlson. This question was brought up, and I wanted to know year to year, what it looked like. How many food plants in the United States burned down year to year? Is this an anomaly? So in 2019, this is our sample year in the United States, it would appear that there was a major fire at Newlywed Foods Factory in Chicago in April, and one at a Kansas Tyson Foods beef plant in August. So 2 food plant fires that are coming up in the search for 2019. So let's compare 2019 to this past year, not counting the fertilizer fires and the Walmart distribution center fire. On our timeline we just went over, I have listed 18 incidents of food plants on fire from January 2021 to April 21st, 2022 in this video. So let's go back to what I said in the beginning. We've got all these factors at play to cause food shortages and increased prices. So are we witnessing total happenstance and coincidence, or is it intentional? Are they trying to take down our food supply? Are they trying to sabotage our supply chain? And by they, who do we...
And see, this sort of things always happen, and the they is the elites, all right, because they want to reset, and they did the same thing with the Bible, and then when they took the Bible and they added and removed things, and they removed the Apocrypha, and then they wrote their own book of Yasher, their own book of Enoch, because the book of Yasher and Enoch, they're in circulation out there, aren't the real books. And so people go to those thinking that they're getting knowledge, and they're just getting further away from knowledge. And the reason we know that is because it doesn't match up with the precepts in the Bible. If it were on point, it would match up in the precepts in the Bible the same as the Apocrypha does, which was clearly a part of the Bible, and they removed it because the Apocrypha identify who the so-called self-proclaimed white race, who they are by blood, by flesh, by blood, exactly who they are, and they are indeed the biblical Edomites. All right, and then Christianity, minus the Apocrypha out the way to expose who the Edomites are, then they were able to just push the doctrine that the Edomites were done away with. All right, and then you have this confusion, that they're Japhet, but yet there's no prophecies that says that Japhet would enslave and ship the Israelite children all over the world and oppress them and hang them and do all the things that they've done. So, people saying that are really not spiritually in tune as they think they are. They're not spiritually in tune at all, man. There's no prophecies that say that Japhet would do that. But nevertheless, through gradualism, all these things were done just as is being done now. All right, so there's really nothing new under the sun. And now the problem is that they're acting so fast that they're showing their hands. They put together these quick stories, like the whole Frank James things, and a lot of these so-called atrocities and incidents that happened, over the years. But yet, and it's clear to see that in some of their crisis actors being used, because they and 3 major events, I'm not going to name any of them, but they all had to do with mass shootings. You had some of the same people at each event. All right. And then they were even bold enough to give them speaking positions, interviews and things like that. And you go back and watch the other incident that happened. It's like, holy crap, that's the same chick with a wig on. Or these are the same 3 guys that were in the last major mass shooting event and things of that nature. So, they're really getting sloppy toward the end here. Let me read Revelation 12:12. And it reads, therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he have but a short time. And the reason you know that they have a short time is the evidence is the fact that they have all these $billion-dollar and $1 million bunkers and underground bases that many of them are ready to flee to, that are fully stocked. All right, you probably got more stuff in those stocked up in those bunkers than what you're seeing on these gigantic ships. All right, so going back to reflecting on this video, it all started with Event 201, and then after that the Demic came, and then you had the Suez Canal thing, and from that you have this continued there, and they sat back and they watched the effect, and then they continue with the destruction of the food supply. So utter chaos, food shortages, riots in major cities, all that will take place, and then they're going to come in as the saviors to reset the system, with the digital currency, with the cashless society. All right, and then they'll be able to completely control your every move. Referring to that the MOTB, which is found in Revelation, the 13th chapter, the 16th verse to the end, and all that is coming into play now. It's all coming into play, and anyone who has eyes to see can see it. As a matter of fact, even people who are not spiritual can see it at this point. It's so obvious that that's where they're going. They're even admitting and talking about it. But they try to talk about it as if it was just a natural thing of progression. No, they cause these things to happen. But the truth be said, that the hearts of men is controlled, heart meaning mind, is controlled by the Lord. So this is all the Lord's doing. But they're going to, it said as they begin to feed their belly, then the Lord is gonna, let me see if I can find that real quick. Or fill their belly. Yeah, this is Job 20 and 23, and it reads, when he is about to fill his belly, God shall cast the fury of his wrath upon him, and shall rain it upon him while he is eating. So bring it on. Hurry up. Go ahead and do this cashless thing. Go ahead and crash it all. Let it all happen. Because the faster you do that, the faster the Lord is gonna come back and do what he's gonna do to you. So with that, I'm going to give all praises, all honor and glory unto Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem, Rakak Wadash, Wa Abba Babal, Kwam Yasharala Shalom.